Hi, NHS students. This is your advisor, Mrs. Thompson, bringing you our previously scheduled meeting for April 15th. Obviously, when we set this as our meeting date last month, we had absolutely no idea what was going to happen between now and then. And I keep thinking back to our last meeting when we were talking about elections, and it just seems like a whole different world when that happened. So I wanted to maintain the integrity of this meeting date and give you guys some reminders of ways that we have modified things in order to support you as much as possible and hopefully answer some questions that you might have. So today we're going to be talking about the Pen Pal program, your hours requirements, and then we're going to look ahead to next year a little bit and talk about selecting our members for next year and selecting our leaders for next year, because obviously today was supposed to be election day, and so we've got to do some creative problem solving in order to figure out the best way to move ahead with that. So I wanted to thank everyone who has signed up to be a pen pal. The vast majority of you are pen pals, which is really fantastic. And this is a great way to get the remainder of your hours. And it's also just a fun way to stay positive and build community with some of our elementary students. We are really excited to have Elm Creek on board specifically because all of the Elm Creek students feed into Osseo Senior High eventually. Fernbrook is also on the list. Cedar Island is on the list. So we have, I think, like 95 students, and that list is growing who have signed up so far. Ms. Hansen has signed up her daughter. Mr. Z has signed up his daughter. So it's kind of cool that we're going to be able to communicate with our own families as well as some of the younger ones as well. So if you signed up to be a pen pal, as of last night, everyone who had signed up should have a Google sheet that I shared with you that has your students' information. It's anywhere from 3 to 4 students for most of you. It's got their name, their address, the grade level they're in, and then some interests, which is like pretty adorable. They're into like dinosaurs and unicorns and playing with their dogs and all sorts of cute stuff. So your task, if you signed up to be a pen pal, is to send a note to each one of your students each week, and just to be positive and kind and enthusiastic. The notes don't have to be very long. 3 to 4 sentences is great. Maybe ask them a question about something they put on their list of interests. It's just a way to engage a little bit. You're not writing a novel. A lot of these guys are like in kindergarten. Their mom's just going to read it to them, and they're going to work really hard to write back to you. So just do your best, and they're going to be really, really excited to get something in the mail. I wanted to have a shout out to Olivia, who made a how-to video that we sent to all of the parents that signed their kids up, and it shows them how to address a letter. And she did a fantastic job and turned that around really quickly. And I know the parents are excited to have that as their way to introduce this whole thing to their students. So I just wanted to say thank you, Olivia, for doing that. If you are not at your 40 hours yet, which is quite a few of you, and you have not signed up to be a pen pal, you got a Schoology message from me this week because I wanted to make sure that, first of all, you understand where you are as far as hours go, and to present the easiest opportunity that we could ever have for you to fulfill your hours. So for those students who signed up in response to my message, you'll see that Google Sheet in your Google Drive, and that's got all of your student info. So check your Schoology messages if you haven't. I heard back from the vast majority of you that I messaged, but there are a few that I'm still a little concerned about because I haven't heard from them in a while. So please check your Schoology messages. So next year's membership, this doesn't necessarily apply to you personally because you do not need to reapply. So juniors, you do not need to reapply to National Honor Society. But I know lots of you have friends either in the junior class or who are underclassmen who have questions about how this is going to work. You remember from last year and seniors from the year before getting that packet in the middle of one of your classes that invited you to apply, and there was the packet that was the application. If we're back in school, we'll absolutely do that same thing again in May. If we're not back in school, we're going to make sure to make that available on the website and on Schoology, and we'll use your help to try and let your friends know that those applications are available out there through word of mouth, since we won't be able to physically get copies to everybody. Juniors, to stay in NHS next year, you have to just continue to meet the requirements. So you have to have your 40 hours overall, and we'll talk in a minute about how to get those 40 hours. And you have to maintain your 3.7 or higher GPA. So as long as you continue to do those things that you've been doing all year long, you automatically stay in National Honor Society. So again, you do not need to reapply You just need to keep doing the amazing positive stuff that you're doing. We also need to think about next year's leadership. Today was supposed to be election day, so we've got our strike through for our April 15th elections. So some options that we haven't landed on an answer yet are, if we were back in school in May, we would just hold our elections then. We could do our elections via Google Meet. So everyone, or all of our juniors, could log into Google Meet. Everyone would just mute their microphones and mute their videos so that the person who is running for the position has the floor and we'll all be able to see them. Obviously, you guys have already seen how many technical glitches we can get with Google Meet. So that's not the ideal way to do it, but it's certainly a possibility. We could hold off and do our elections next fall. I would then have a lot of work that I would be doing solo in preparation for sending all of the applications to our selection committee. I can certainly do that, but I really appreciate the help of the officers in getting those prepared. So that's not my favorite option, but we could do that if need be. And then I've been meeting with the coaches every Wednesday morning, and they've been talking a lot about how they select their captains and they select their leadership. And it sort of started to float that possibility in my mind of maybe the best way to go about this is for juniors to apply for a position, for me to review those applications or to have interviews with the juniors, and for Quan and I to select who our leaders would be for next year. So I just wanted to mention that idea is floating around. I definitely would have an application and interview component because I don't want to give an advantage to students who happen to be in my classes right now. And so I'm very conscious of the fact that you shouldn't just get an officer position because you happen to be in Mrs. Thompson's world history class. I know that we've seen some people step up, especially through our virtual spirit stuff. Charlie and Abby and Bernice, thank you for posting things on there. And so we've started to see some of our juniors really step up and become leaders in this situation. And I want to make sure that we recognize that, and then I have a chance to get to know you before we would make any of those choices. I'm also open to any other ideas you guys might have, so feel free to send me a Schoology message or an email, thompsonmegan@district279.org, to talk about what that might look like for you. So for those of you concerned about getting your hours requirements so that you stay in NHS next year, and for our seniors so that you graduate as part of NHS, we mentioned this multiple times in updates, but wanted to mention it again, that all of those previous categories, the individual, group, and fundraising categories, have been eliminated and condensed into one category. So all of the hours that you are doing right now contribute to your 40. So if you were watching your siblings, if you were helping your aunt figure out how to do Zoom on her computer so that she can still do her work meetings, if you were doing sidewalk chalk out in front of your house, if you were doing the OSH virtual spirit stuff, if you were doing the elementary student videos that Lauren posted about a couple weeks ago for her sister, if you're doing the pen pal, if you were going to Memorial Blood Center and donating blood. Mr. Tyson wasn't at our coaches meeting this morning because he was literally out donating plasma at one of the hospitals. Amazing. If you are helping out in any way, that can contribute to your 40 hours. If you are struggling to get hours, the best thing you can do is to communicate with me or with the officers or with your cabinet leader about it, so we know that you're trying and it's not just that you're kind of being a bump on a log and you've decided that the senior slide is for juniors and seniors and you're just going to nap your way through all of this. I know, I understand. We've all been there. We kind of just all want to nap through this and then wake up when it's all over. But showing us that you are thinking about this and that you are trying, that communication is a really important piece. So if you're struggling at all, please drop me an email or a Schoology message. Once you've done whatever that volunteering is, submit your volunteering via a Google form that you'll find in the resources section of our NHS Schoology page, or you can email it to Jacob Rainerson. Either one of those options is totally fine. If you want to send it to me, that's fine. I'll just forward it to Jacob Rainerson. So all of those opportunities to complete your 40 hours. And the vast majority of you are within 10 hours of that. And so the pen pal stuff especially will help to put you over the edge. So thanks again to those who signed up for that. And I finally just wanted to recognize all of the stuff that we still have, but also the stuff that we've lost. The things that we were supposed to be doing over the course of the last month and the next month. We have one blood drive that's already been canceled. We've got another one that's scheduled for the end of May, so maybe there's a possibility that we would still have that one. And our blood drives raise scholarship money for our seniors. So the fewer blood drives we have, that literally costs us money when it comes to that scholarship stuff. And obviously we aren't helping to save as many lives either. Our Pennies for Patients drive usually goes in the weeks leading up to prom, where we are fundraising for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, so we're not doing that this year. Our Breakfast of Champions that our Vice President Owen has planned throughout the year and did a great job for our first two, and plans to do a third one with the help of whomever the new Vice President was going to be. That's not going to be happening. And then obviously our really big one is Anna worked so hard to prepare the prom fashion show this year. And then just weeks before that was to happen, everything went crazy. And so the prom fashion show didn't occur. And so I know that we have lost a lot this year. And I recognize how hard you have worked and how frustrating it is to not have these things occur. And this is just the NHS stuff. I know prom and the question of graduation and all of these things are affecting both our juniors, but especially our seniors. And I want to know that we love you and that we wish that this could be another way. And we appreciate so much that you are staying positive, and we hope that we can support you through that. And I know we have this message of be the helpers, but we also recognize that sometimes you guys need to be helped as well. And so I hope I can always be there if you need it, your officers, your cabinet leaders, that we can all support one another through that and be together while we are apart. So I love and miss all of you and hope to hear from you soon, because we are ASIO.